Hey guys, you know you've heard me before talk about my life as an educator, and I still feel that I serve the education community. But I know that a lot of you have been in education forever, and the thought of a job search to do something new and different is probably making you sweat. Well, hey, you might be a rock star educator, but the job hunt itself probably feels like a foreign language. And I just want you to forget about all of the resume and pre interview panic. I actually have developed a new program that is especially for you. It is called the Midlife Educators Job Search Blueprint. It is very simply the answer to what you need right now. Instead of going all over YouTube and Googling whatever you need to know about jumping back into a job search after a lot of years in the same position, I'm going to remove all the fluff and make sure you only focus on the things that you need. My program is a 4-step process, and it's going to help you get to your next gig with confidence. Don't worry about all of the other YouTube rabbit holes. I want you to stop feeling scared, join my program so that you can waltz into your next job with confidence. Enrollment is starting right now. Go to the link to sign up today. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Melanated Midlife Podcast. And today I'm talking about something that is extremely personal, but it is probably an experience that we're all sharing. And that is the journey of menopause, the melanated version of menopause, because as I have said more than once, this is having a moment. And am I experiencing this moment? Heck yeah, but it's thankfully a lot of different people that are talking about it. And so I'm just going to add my voice to that conversation because there are a lot of myths and there's a lot of things that I'm trying to take back control of. So in this conversation, I got a little bit of background that I want to share with you, and then I'll let you know how my experience is going, what I'm planning to do to, make this journey a little bit smoother, and, maybe come back and update you on some future episodes. But for now, let's just talk about what are the facts that we know about menopause. And the reason that I want to add my voice to this conversation is obviously because as a Black woman, I was curious if what I'm experiencing is any different from what would be considered normal or what is average of someone that is at this midlife point. And come to find out, y'all, guess what? Black women have a slightly different experience when it comes to menopause. So let's start off with what is the average age of someone that is in menopause. And ding, 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 it's 51 years old. Guess how old I am at the time of this recording? 51 years old. So it can start at any point a few years before that. Very rarely that it starts a lot later than that, but ultimately what we know is that once you do find yourself in menopause, it is defined as a 1-year period, a 12-month stretch where you no longer have any menstruating happening with your body. And I can say, I'm keeping my own calendar. I'm entering year 4 of this, journey. So some people may find themselves in the perimenopause era, where that perimenopause area is kind of where you're just starting to experience those symptoms. You're starting to experience the hot flashes. You're starting to notice some disruptive sleep. Vaginal dryness is a big issue where women first start recognizing that they're having painful sex, and that painful sex is probably the result of the vaginal dryness. The brain fog, honey, let me tell you, the brain fog is real, and you really do believe that you're going crazy some days because I will be mid-sentence. It may even happen during this episode where I'm trying to get a word out and I suddenly forget what the heck I'm trying to say. And all of that is for a period of time. You don't think that those symptoms are all related. You think, okay, I'm gaining weight and I can't explain why. Maybe I just need to hit the gym. Or I'm feeling like my hair doesn't look the same as it used to, but you think it's all in your head. Hair loss is a very real symptom. Weight gain, unexpected or unexplained weight gain, is another symptom. And all of these things happening where some women will find themselves falling into depression. And again, you look at each one of those symptoms separately and you may not connect the dots right away, but more than likely it is the early signs of menopause. So let's talk about some things. When I started going on to this investigation, started researching some things for myself, just trying to understand what was happening, I came across an article in the New York Times, and it was from 2023, and it was an article specifically about how menopausal symptoms are a little bit different for Black women. Again, something that I thought was all in my head because I didn't hear any of my non-Black counterparts experiencing some of the really prolonged symptoms the same way. I mean, yeah, we all have this in common, but it just felt like something was a little bit different than mine. So, what this article talked about was that number one, Black women experience menopause earlier and longer than their white counterparts. So, for a white woman on average, it would be probably about 7 to 10 years max that they would be in the throes of these symptoms. For the average Black woman, they're experiencing menopausal symptoms 10 years plus, and in some cases, double the number of years that their white counterparts are going through this. We also know that there are many cases, which I share this experience, where you go to a medical professional and you go down the laundry list of everything that you're experiencing, and the doctor will be a little dismissive, kind of saying, okay, yeah, that's normal, no big deal. Yeah, you can't sleep. That's not really, severe. Okay, yeah, you think you might be having some heart palpitations or whatever. That might not be that serious. And so, very much feeling like all of these symptoms are being dismissed, and you're coming to a medical professional asking for relief. Anything that they could give you or tell you, or point you in a direction that's going to start turning some of these things off or lessening some of what you're feeling. And I've been through a couple of doctors, which still on that journey to find a doctor that is the right fit for this particular season of life, that will not have that unconscious racial bias, because according to studies that have been done, the unconscious racial bias against Black women from doctors is this assumption that Black women can endure more pain or can endure more severe symptoms. So when you come in and you're saying, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm not feeling great about that or whatever, you're looking for them to give you that expert advice, and it's dismissed. Okay, it's all in your head, or it's not that bad, or you can get through this. I'm not going to prescribe anything. I'm not going to give you, anything more than just telling you to relax. So that's been, like I said, my personal experience, and still on that journey. But then come to find out, there was another study that I came across, which was the SWAN study. All of this information I'll make sure is linked in the show notes so that you can go and make some judgments of your own. But the SWAN study, which, let me make sure I say this right, SWAN stands for the Study of Women's Health Across the Nation. It is a study that started in 1994, and they followed 3,000 women to examine the physical, biological, physiological, and social changes that are happening during this menopausal period. So, of course, I started digging down through this because they've been following these women for decades, monitoring all of their symptoms in midlife, and really trying to see what was the quality of life during this period. So you can say, yeah, I'm not laying on my deathbed at the moment, suffering from these. I'm still able to get up and function throughout the day. But what is my quality of life while I'm going through the hair loss, while I'm going through the night sweats and the day sweats and the 12 p.m. sweats and the 2 o'clock sweats? I mean, probably going to be sweating right here while we're talking through this conversation. And it's interesting that these things that Black women are experiencing, it seems to be to a deeper degree than what is expressed by our white counterparts. And that blew me away, because we already are having some issues with our reproductive health. We're hearing a lot of stories about women that are having trouble with childbirth and recovering from all of those things. And I'm so like, goddamn, when are Black women gonna catch a break? So it's like we're learning more about what's happening to us, but then we don't always get the support of the medical profession. And like I said, I'm emotional about this. I'm very angry about it, but then also trying to do a lot to educate myself and see what are the things that I can keep within my control. So let me also make another point from this particular research study. Again, 3,000 women that the study followed for several decades. So this started in 1994. And what they, this is a clincher, what they noticed or were able to report was that because of the structural racism that Black women face on a regular basis, that it's already kind of it's disrupting our baseline health. It's so much stress that is external that we're having to get through on a daily basis that we're basically stepping up to the plate with issues that is eroding our health already. So then you come to this stage of life in menopause where you already have, kind of been beaten down by a lot of other societal things. Then you're dealing with these menopause symptoms, and it's just making the battle even worse for you. It's basically making us age at a faster clip than our white counterparts. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking in the mirror sometimes and I'm trying to put makeup in the right places to hide all the skin and aging and stuff. But I'm like, it goes beyond skin deep. There's things that are happening to me just because I'm a Black woman and I'm having to navigate the world a certain way, that my health is already eroding faster because I'm carrying other burdens that other women that are not Black probably don't have to deal with. So it just kind of made me pause for a moment, pause thinking about menopause. I got so many puns right now, but all of this coming together made me really think, okay, maybe the experience is unique to different women. So I wanted to make sure that this conversation happens about what exactly is it that Black women are enduring overall during menopause. Is it normal? Is it average? Is what I'm going through, considered normal or average? But it made me want to start thinking about, as I am on this journey to figure out who is going to be a medical professional that I trust and build a relationship with to try to navigate this time of life, I started to think about, okay, if I'm already coming to the plate with issues, if my age is accelerating because of societal pressures, because of burdens, because of stress in every, different areas, just because I'm dealing with racism, dealing with structural issues, what are the things that I can start working on right now to make sure that I have my health as optimal as possible to hopefully get through this with minimal stress as possible? So I can let you know about what I'm doing. So here's what I'm doing right now to try to get through this phase of life. And I will say that number one, sleep is one thing that I am trying to focus on. Getting as much quality sleep each night is my number one focus today. Now that could change, maybe I'll be able to take some daytime naps or whatever, but my daytime schedule is pretty packed between creative work, between business, between private clients and what have you. But I'm hearing and reading that the cognitive abilities or cognitive decline, things that are happening mentally, the brain fog, the depression, all of the ups and downs, our emotional health and everything, if we don't have every night where we're getting restorative sleep, then it's causing these other ailments, to be more prevalent. So every time that I'm talking, I'm losing my thoughts. Every time I'm trying to get a word out and I can't remember what that word is, these things are going to happen more regularly if I'm not completely shutting down at night and getting that restoration through deep quality sleep. So it may sound kind of, taboo. Everybody's talking about make sure you get your sleep, make sure you drink your water, things like that. But I'm realizing that there's very real pieces of this that really need to be explored, at least for me personally. I've always valued sleep, I've always valued rest, but realizing now that there is a brain fog, a brain function, a brain health element that can be preserved by just making sure I turn the light off and go to bed every night. The other thing that I am working on is making sure that I have daily movement. So, daily movement, of course, being exercise, but then just getting up and moving. So, this is daily tricky, making sure that you get enough steps. I've got, my monitor where it's going to tell me roughly how many steps, how active I've been throughout the day. But to try to get as close to 10,000 steps as possible is something that I am focusing on. And working from home, traveling, sitting on a plane for several hours at a time, being on a whole lot of Zoom and WebEx calls, dealing with clients, sitting in front of a laptop doing a lot of digital creative work every day. I'm noticing if I really zero in and focus, there could be days where I am sitting in stationary a whole lot more than I am moving around and getting the heart pumping. So that is one thing that I did read, that women that are more active on a regular basis are seeing that their menopausal symptoms are lessened to a degree. Doesn't mean that they go away, but maybe are lessened to a certain degree. So I have noticed that if I'm up, if I'm moving around, if I have, if I'm intentional of making sure that I get up and move in regular intervals, then I notice fewer hot flashes. I notice that I'm a little bit sharper and I'm a little bit more creative when I'm trying to get through a tough period of a big project. So that is what's working for me. The other thing I will say is in relation to daily movement is while I'm trying to get those 10,000 steps every day, having some of those walks outside in the sunshine is a very big deal. It is a game changer for me personally, as someone that is very open about ups and downs with depression, ups and downs with mood swings and frustrating moments, not, having so much on your plate where you feel overwhelmed from day to day. Having 20, 30 minutes that I go outside every single moment. If you follow me on social media, you've seen me do this with my dog Lola, where we get out every single day and we do laps around the park. We go up and down the block. I make sure that she gets a little bit of movement so that she stays nice and healthy. But being out in the sunshine, instantly, I can see a change in my mood. Doesn't mean that all of the issues go away. It doesn't mean that I come back and everything about my world is perfect, but it removes me from the stress for just a few minutes. I get the sunshine, the vitamin D that I need, and I am very positive that I've read somewhere, again, I am not a medical professional, so please remember this is just a disclaimer to say that you still need to talk to your own people to make sure that you get the right advice. But at least for me, being out in the sunshine for any amount of time is going to make me come back to that desk, to that client, to whatever project it is, and I've just got a little bit more pep in my step. It rejuvenates me just enough to get over whatever that hump is. The other thing, now y'all can tell, you can look at me and tell that I haven't missed a meal. I like my food. I like sometimes to cook. I definitely like to experiment with all the different restaurants that I have within a walking distance of where I live now. I like having date nights with my hubby and getting a lot of different things in my diet. It's great, but I really have to start focusing on my nutrition. And y'all, this is hard because, like I said, I like to eat. I am a fan of the food, and I don't think I've ever passed up a tasty plate in my years. However, I am noticing that the weight just doesn't go away as easily, no matter how hard I'm working, no matter how much, I'm trying to be mindful of it. I am having to be right now far more mindful of my nutritional intake. And that might mean that I'm taking in less sugar. That might mean I'm not going after any fried snacks or what have you. And I mean, like right now, I'm sitting here with this tumbler of iced drink, and it's ice water with a little bit of flavoring in it. I have to continuously sip this stuff and make sure that I'm getting the right things in me just to power through the day. Remember, sleep is an issue when you're going through menopause because you're waking up all times of night, you're sweaty, you're having heart palpitations, anxiety is through the roof. And this is all happening just because of the menopause, not just because you're crazy, not just because your world is a little bit off kilter. It's the menopause that's bringing this to the forefront. So I'm having to be mindful of the right amount of protein that I'm putting in me and the right amount of carbs, making sure that I have plenty of fiber, plenty of water to flush it all through. Because if I don't, I feel it from hour to hour that I don't have the right fuel in my tank. So it might sound, again, counterintuitive because you're looking at me and just like, girl, I know you've had a piece of chicken. And yeah, you're right. Yes, I've enjoyed my pizza. Yes, I love my donuts, all of these things. But I'm having to take in a little bit less of that while I'm being mindful of the nutrition. The other thing, while we're talking about drinking, my water, I've had to make sure that I'm drinking a lot of iced water with menopause right now because that is the one thing that is keeping me nice and cool through all the numerous hot flashes. So I used to be a hot coffee person. I have had to stay away from hot coffee lately because it keeps me internally warmed up. So iced coffee, iced drinks is what I have to make sure I focus on. And going back to the movement, the other thing that I'm following is weightlifting. And I don't know about my Black sisters that may have any doubt about the types of workouts that you should be doing. Yes, you need to be getting your cardio. You need to make sure that your heart is strong. I was a lifelong runner until very recently and didn't put as much attention on the weightlifting as I should. Make sure, girls, that you are in the gym lifting the heavy weights because I have seen studies that is saying women that have denser or muscle mass on their bodies are going to have a more pleasant, I don't want to say a more pleasant experience with menopause, but yes, it lessens some of the symptoms to a degree by having greater muscle mass on your body. So that is another thing that I'm working on right now. Hopefully, with all of these things that I'm telling you, that it will culminate in me losing a little bit of weight, and you have a video archive to say if I'm telling the truth or not. But over the next few months, hopefully you start to see some differences, and you'll know that I've been true to my word and actually taking action on everything that I'm sharing with you. And one thing that you'll also be able to hear me talk about on another episode is my journey away from alcohol use. So going through a little bit of an experiment right now, you could call it biohacking or whatever, but I am actively abstaining from alcoholic beverages. And that's a whole conversation that I invite you to tune into because there's a lot that went into that decision, and who knows if I'll stick to it. You may talk to me next year and I feel totally differently about it, but at least for right now, that is something that I'm abstaining from while I am going through the thick of this menopausal journey. So all of these things, these are my tips. This is how I'm handling what is hopefully going to be the tail end of this menopause part of my life. But I definitely welcome more women to join this conversation, more Black women to let me know if you are also experiencing this or maybe something totally different. I will tell you, you see how my hair is up and away from my face right now. I'm doing these kinds of hairstyles a lot more often now because of the sweats, and I really wish that I could have a nice, slick silk press and have hair flowing all over the place in my Beyonce moment, but the hot sweats and the moisture on my scalp just will not let me be great. So I have to wear my curly fro as often as possible and keep it off my neck, especially when I'm going through these moments. So y'all let me know if any of this is useful. I will link these studies from the New York Times article and the Swan a study in the show notes. Take a look, let me know what you think. And if you have anything that you'd like to maybe suggest for me to try with my personal menopausal journey, I would love to hear from you. So until next time, just keep the comments coming, like and subscribe on the channel. Definitely want to hear your feedback, but more than anything, thank you for being here today.